Jumpin' In on Manx Radio.
With Howard and Chris Kane.
Hello.
Good evening.
And welcome. Can it be? Yes, it can. Saturday night, 9 o'clock, Jumpin' In, the best in modern and contemporary jazz from around the globe. No less. With myself, H.
And me, Chris. Yes, welcome along to this week's Jumpin' In, the best way to spend a Saturday night, or failing that, any other night, by catching up with the podcast, which, if you subscribe, will pop up on your Android or iThingy automatically. What could be better? And in what has been a very difficult and unusual year, we're missing the penultimate night of the London Jazz Festival, where Sax Supremo and friend of Jumpin' In, Trish Clues, and her My Iris band are currently live streaming from the 606 Club in Chelsea, which, had circumstances been a little better, we probably would have been at this evening. And I recommend popping over to the London Jazz Festival YouTube channel, where they're showing lots of free highlights and selected concerts. So what's been keeping you topped up during festival absence this week, Age?
Indeed. Well, I have been thinking along the same lines, thinking, if only next year, fingers crossed. So short and sweet, I'll say I've got some odd wisdom, and then I'm going nostalgic.
And from me, some soggy cutlery and African abstract, a Dutch philosopher. And to kick off, I'll put your walking boots on. Here's The Last Hill. The Joshua Elcock Big Band there with Last Hill from their debut release, The Space Between, which came out right as the first UK lockdown started, although that's not stopped the band from performing with a number of virtual concerts. Joshua may not be a household name yet, but the young Glaswegian trumpeter has certainly been making a name for himself on the circuit with his fusion group Mezcla, which have been around for a couple of years now, winning Young Scottish Jazz Musicians in 2018, and they released their debut album around about the same time. Perhaps we'll be able to bring you that on another show, but the Big Band, definitely worth a listen.
Definitely worth a listen, yes, and a fine sound indeed from that. As I said, I've got a bit of nostalgia as well, really. I can't help but sort of keeping, as you were mentioning there, thinking, I have been catching a little bit of the LJF London Jazz Festival, one of the highlights of the jazz year, certainly for us and for, I know, thousands of other people, certainly around this neck of the woods as well, and thinking, I do feel sorry for the organisers. They've gone from probably thinking it's nothing at all to thinking, yes, we can go back and do something with some. They were going to have a hybrid festival of part online, part reality. And then lockdown 2 came, they had to rethink all again, and they're still pushing ahead. So top work to sort of the boys there and girls for getting some sort of show on, as you said. And there are various things online. Check them out if you go to the London Jazz Festival site. Yes, I haven't had a chance to catch a lot. Well, I've heard a little bit on the radio, but I have been thinking about it a lot and thinking about the festival and hoping 2021 will be better. And yes, I was in my other half's car the other day, and this started streaming from my phone, where I just sort of put something on at random, as it were, which, again, a lovely guy we interviewed at LJF 2 or 3 years ago, Helge Lien. I hadn't heard much from him of late, but this track came up. I thought, this is a goodie, and it reminded me of this album as well. It's from Badgers and Other Beings, and a track called Hoggerman. Marvellous stuff from the Helga Lean Trio. And can you remember what year we interviewed Helga? I can't. It was 3 years ago? 4 years ago? 5 years ago? Yeah.
4 years ago.
A lovely chap he was too. Very nice backstage at the Cadogan Hall? Cadogan Hall, I think. I'm thinking, yeah. I remember, yes, we were being surprised because the Cadogan Hall is so grand out the front and lovely, and you go backstage.
No, it wasn't.
Was it not? Or was it, I thought it was Cadogan Hall, but I'm standing...
No, it was that, it was quite a modern building. It was quite a...
Oh, right. It was definitely the London Jazz Festival.
Yeah,
it wasn't,
we
it
had
wasn't
to
on
walk
the South
across the
Bank.
square to go to it. It's not a usual venue you've got to, and it wasn't.
I'm still thinking the Cadogan Hall it was at.
It wasn't King's Place, but it was
Wasn't
somewhere
Wigan
more
Hall.
like that. It was a modern place, modern concert hall.
I just remember out back it looked like nothing had been done since the last war.
Yeah, well, typical of most backstage.
Particularly
areas,
most
to be honest.
backstages. But he was a lovely guy and and a really nice set there too. And that was from his album, like I said, which I'd almost forgotten. Not his most recent one, but from about 2017, I think, Badgers and Other Beings. Great name for a title, I always think, as well. And actually, the recording engineer for that is the late, great Jan Erik Kongshaug, albeit it's on Azella, not on ECM. And sadly, we lost Jan Erik a couple of years ago. Helga Lean, of course, on piano, Frode Berg on bass, and Per Advo Johansen at the drums. Must look out for a new one from Helga. I haven't seen a new one from him for a while.
Well, another one we mentioned looking back was Naxos Jazz last week, and that sent me digging through the racks and unearthing some overlooked gems. And this next one from David Phillips' Free Dance grabbed my attention. I'll explain why after. Here's Paper Spoons. Lovely stuff.
Yeah, fading off into the background. Lovely stuff.
I remember you falling in love with the tongue drum when you got it at first. Great sound.
It is great. I've still got one, yeah.
Yeah, released back in 2000. That was bassist David Phillips and his band Freedance. The track was called Paper Spoons. Phillips has a good jazz heritage, being the son of none other than bass legend Barry Phillips.
Barry Phillips,
who at 86 is still playing and recording, and in fact I think had an ECL album out just 2 years ago.
He did. I think he said off the back of that, now you mentioned that, Barry Phillips said it would be his last solo bass album.
Ah, right, okay. But he said his son said that his dad gave him one bass lesson and said, that's it, it's up to you now. And what caught my eye actually was the guitarist in the band, Rez Abbasi. The band were together for quite a few years, and he has a new release under his own name called Django Shift, which no doubt we'll try and bring you in the future. But that was Paper Spoons, Dave Phillips and Freedance.
Great. And you said that was on Naxos, was it?
Yeah, Naxos back in 2000.
God, dig that one out. I might have that kicking around on the shelf somewhere. You're listening to Jumpin' In here on Manx Radio with Chris and myself. H, lovely to have your company as ever. If indeed you have any thoughts, by the way, of anything you'd like to hear, an artist you might like featured, we've done countries before, and I think we've got a couple more sort of in the planning stage as well. We're in the pipeline coming up. It's Howard Kane at manxradio.com. That's Kane, C-A-I-N-E. Can't spell my own name. C-A-I-N-E.
He's been at the biscuits, I'm afraid. Yeah.
Or indeed, Chris Kane at manxradio.com. Either way, we'll get it, and always happy to oblige if we can. I told you I'm being quite nostalgic as well. We were saying about the London Jazz Festival going on, and there's two things actually that sparked this next one coming up. One was I was listening. I quite often have Radio 3 on of a morning, in between Manx Radio, of course. All of a sudden, what was playing at sort of 8:30 in the morning? Stan Tracy, Out of Milkwood. Isn't that wonderful? And talking about, I can't remember what the link to Stan was at the time, actually, but it was great to actually hear Stan being played at that time. Such a wonderful guy. We did meet him a couple of times. Never managed to get an interview with him for the show, unfortunately. I did chat to him a few times, and I have a lovely signed copy, which I think the old maestro got for me one time for a birthday, a signed copy of Under Milkwood. Which is lovely, and is still a classic album. And it was just reminding me again of what a great loss he is, what a fine player he was, and what a great recorded legacy he's left. I also do rather like that Jazz Record Requests has, after we requested some time back, I don't know whether other people did, has brought back a theme tune after being it off for a long time, which is lovely. And of course, we have a theme tune, and we're on the theme tune 3 or 4 or something, but this used to be a previous theme tune in a prior life for this programme. Stan Tracy, Roy Babington, Great Times. What a great player he was. Really, really good. So inspired, I think, by some of his heroes as well, the likes of Duke Ellington. His playing also reminds me of Duke Ellington. Duke loved that sort of, and there's some Thelonious Monk in there as well. So it's spiky and unexpected, and often has those sort of, you know, minor sort of off-key endings, which are sort of great, the way he does it. Oh, he was just a fantastic player, and yes, goodness knows how many times you must have seen him over the years. And that was from a wonderful album I had on vinyl for a long time. We were just talking about vinyl, funnily enough. And I did actually get one time when he was with Clark, and I think it was last but one I might have seen him, I think. He was at the Southport Jazz Festival one year. I think it was just Dad and I don't know whether you were there. And actually spoke to him. He was having breakfast on his own, I remember, and I went over and had a little chat with him there and said how much I enjoyed the music. He said, oh, that's good. It was before he brought that last album out, The Flying Pig. No, in fact, it was before that. He bringing out a Child's Christmas in Wales, or whatever it's called, the Welsh Christmas one he was bringing out there. And he said, oh, I've got that coming out, which was good. But this was, celebrating the music of Duke Ellington, just called Stan Tracy Plays Duke Ellington, Stan on piano, and the great Roy Babington at the bass.
Of course, mentioning Stan, couldn't help but think about meeting him on the Isle of Man, and Clark, who we meet fairly regularly. He's always up for a chat and a beer if there's one going. And another man we bumped into, of course, was the fantastic Bobby Wellens, the sax player, who not only did we meet him, but we were at the Archduke one evening, and it was a surprise. We weren't expecting anything, and he was playing in a trio there, and we sat down and had a drink and a bit of supper. And during the band break, he came over and sat with us and brought a couple of beers over and popped them on the table. And he said, I could tell you were the only jazz people in the room who understood. I thought I'd come and sit with you. And mentioned his memories of the Isle of Man and, in fact, of the old jazz man himself as well. And I had an album by him called Time, Gentlemen, Please, which I thought was his last release, Bobby Wellens, but found another one with Kate Williams on piano called Smoke and Mirrors. I'll try and fit that into another show. Now, you know that we like trios here on Jumpin' In, and, all kinds of trios, but piano trio, one of the best kinds. So pianist and keyboard player whose work I've always enjoyed, be it with his trio solo or with his slightly madcap Orchestra della Luna, is the Finnish maestro Kari Ikonen. And when Ozella kindly got in touch and told me there was his latest lockdown project was coming out, it prompted me that actually I hadn't played the previous one that I'd bought yet. So let's put that right now. From 2013, the album was Bright. Here's Bapam Guala.
Good ending.
Yeah, taken from his 2013 release, Bright. That was the Carrie Ikonen trio with Bapam Gwala, which Carrie usefully explains is one of the few known words in Matubulu, an ancient West African language, which in English apparently it means Gwalapap, which very useful to know. Carrie on piano, obviously, Ara Yerelan on bass, and Marku Unasakari on the drums. And his new solo album for treated piano is something to look out for. We'll bring that to you whenever we can.
We'll bring this one right now. This is one of the latest releases from Act. In actual fact, it's coming out, I think, on the 21st of January. Yeah, next year it'll be out on general release. This is I must admit, it's a gentleman I'm not that familiar with, Diego Pinera, the drummer, but with a fantastic lineup. Johnny McCaslin on saxes, Ben Monder, guitar, Scott Colley at the bass, and the notes suggest that on his album, which we're going to hear in a moment, Odd Wisdom, he has a stellar cast, which indeed he does. The vibe of three different worlds, the percussive variety of his Latin American origin, the urge for constant renewal of his current home in Berlin, and the energy of New York, where the music was recorded. Donna McCaslin, Ben Monder, definitely is more tuneful, and Scott Colley, three reps of the current US-American jazz scene. I wouldn't disagree with that. They're way up there. An absorbing and extraordinary energy, complexity and suspense. Let's have a listen to Clave Tune. great stuff. I've been enjoying that one in the car of late. Clave tune, Diego Pinera, with the great Donny McCaslin on sax, Ben Monder in very lyrical mode, if you're only known from his soundscapes on guitar, Scott Colley on the bass, on Act, thanks to our friends at Act. That is out on the 21st of January next year.
And another one that I've been enjoying very much of late, which we just have time to leave with, a track from the brilliant debut album Closeness from Norwegian bassist and singer Ellen Andrea Wang. She's cut her teeth with some of the best around, working with Sting, Manu Katché, Marilyn Matsua, and this new album features Rob Lufton guitar and John Fate on the drums. Here's Erasmus. See you next week.
Trumpet special next week.
Bye for now. Are you blowing it?